people tuning in. We are the Shy Panther and Friends show. I'm your host, Gail, with Clarence and Marcy, our panel here. And um, they were joking when we came in saying I'm firing them, but that ain't true. It's just, don't believe it. Don't believe it. It's just, I got to put a lot more demand on myself to be on the air. And so, I can't ask them to do that. So, and it's going to be at all kinds of different times. So that's what's really going on. And to introduce, and if this is your first time checking out Shy Panther and Friends show, we're here to provide a platform to encourage you to empower yourself and others by sharing your story. And in about a week, I'll be moving it over to Instagram Live, and it's Shy Panther and Friends show, the same, and different times. And I will be posting the times and who's going to be over there. And sometimes it may just be me. So I got to get my nerves together. I got to be, you know, coming with it, and I will do it. I will be there. And Clarence and Marcy, they know they are welcome. They're invited anytime, but it's just like I said, the times are going to be a lot more demanding. So I gotta jump in.
And I'm
All
so
right.
proud of her.
Yep,
Oh, thank
me too.
you.
Jump
Oh,
in
thank
with
you.
both feet.
That's right.
Yeah, you really do have to. If you're gonna do something, you better go strong. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
all right.
motivation for me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you better come on. I know you're doing it already. I've been seeing Taylor B's beard oil. I've been seeing it, and it's doing great. It looks like it's doing pretty good to me. So,
Yeah. It can do better. It has its slopes, ups and downs, but
mhm.
I I'm going to jump in with both feet also. I'm going to go back to my original project and do the women's part. I thought, so
Okay.
with the oils of Embrace, um, I already have
Hmm.
my hair growth oil. That's why my hair is growing so with other stuff.
Oh,
So I'm going to go ahead and just do a women's
hang on one
line
second.
and
Wait, hang on. I got some crosstalk in here. Okay. Can you hear me?
yeah,
Can
I
Yeah.
you
can hear
hear
you
me?
well.
Okay, I was having an issue. I was trying to change something, and and I got crosstalk. So sorry about that, everybody. I was just
That's
trying to
okay.
make sure that the public can see it, and apparently they can because I see somebody jumping in. Hey, Diane. So so I know I saw that. So that's great. So pretty soon you said you'll be putting it on the market,
Yes,
or
yes.
okay.
So we might as well just do our introductions.
That's right. We might as well. That's why I was like, well, that's great. That's a great segue into the introduction.
so,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so yes, I'm MJ or Marcella, and I've worked with both of these wonderful people, and I am the creator and owner of Taylor B's beard oil and grooming, all natural and organic. Grooming product line, and I am going to soon launch my Oils by Embrace with products for women, all handmade soaps and body souffles. And we're going to go from there and possibly sugar scrubs. Just a nice product line for women. I've been doing a
Mhm.
lot of pampering myself. So I said, you know what? Let me just share this. And I've been doing it for years. So I decided to just go ahead and just jump in there with both feet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
well, I guess you sometimes you just have to take that opportunity when it's at hand. So
Right.
and
When it's time, you gotta do it.
yeah,
So. Hmm.
and right, because I want to be retired like you too.
Well, you
I
gotta
want
be.
to take what was a hobby and something that I just love to do and just jump in there with both feet,
Hmm. And
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. All
So
right. All right, Mr. Thomas.
Well, Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Clarence. I'm the real retired one in the group. Uh,
Well, what's fake retired?
You know,
I,
yeah, I
I
think you're right.
okay. I
Oh,
retired.
I get it now, Clarence. I get it.
I am retired. I retired from the Chicago Police Department. I was a sergeant there, and I spent another additional 17 years at the Office of Emergency Management, where I met these two young ladies and I oversaw police and fire dispatch operations. And I really enjoyed that. That was just another basic career, really, for me. And when I got done with that, I figured I need to relax. So I I retired. I couldn't stay retired long because now I do part-time work just to have something to do. Um, and then Gail allowed me to be one of her guest panelists on her show, and I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Uh, but apparently, I said the wrong thing because she fired me. So I,
Don't believe him. Don't believe him.
but seriously, I understand that she's got to do what she's got to do, and I encourage anyone who's in a business, uh, when you make business decisions, you have to make business decisions. And anyone that doesn't understand that, then you don't need them around anyway. I understand that. So uh, I wish you both Godspeed in your endeavors. Both of you have businesses going, and I wish you the best. And whatever I can do to help
Thank you.
support it, I will do that.
Well, you won't go too far because I will be inviting you and Marcy still from time to time for the things that you can make. I will still invite you, and
Okay.
especially events because that's what I'm waiting to get to. At the times that I can actually have events and we can all be in one room. I'm so looking
Oh,
forward to
yeah. You need to
doing that.
work on that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
honey,
That would
I
be a great
am.
collaboration.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm working on it. So yeah, don't go too far.
It's coming.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still waiting on my review, Clarence. I know you got your
Oh,
beard oil, so where's my review?
Yeah.
You told me how
And
much you love it.
I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, I better, I better go on the website and do this because I need to do things when I think about them. Because
oh,
if
Right.
I don't, I'll forget, and that's what's been happening. I'll think about it in the middle of the night,
And
and
you'll
I'm
make a
like,
great beard model.
oh,
yeah,
oh, yes, he
see,
would.
He would make a great beard model.
oh, okay.
You don't believe it? You would. You definitely
Just
would.
hey, just send me a picture of you, a good picture of you, and hold up the bottle. And I mean,
Okay.
because that's the thing, you use real people, and that's what I want to do. I want to use real people. I want to be as authentic as and as transparent as
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Okay.
So
All
because
right.
everything I do is natural and organic, and I want natural, regular people. You know.
Well, I'll send you one after I kind of shape it up a little bit. I haven't
Okay, great.
I haven't shaved in about 3 or 4 days. I mean, that's what you
Oh
do when
wow.
you retire. You don't, you do it when you get around to it.
Yeah, just send me and hold it up, hold the bottle next to you on one picture, and however many you send me, we'll go through it and do what we need to do and put you on there, and I'll let you know when you're on there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll
Praise
take care of
him.
that.
And if you want to write a review, I'll send it to me. I'll put it on there, or you can write it yourself on there, and we'll get it done.
Okay.
So
I'll
so
do
pretty
both
much
of those
everybody
things.
that I have on there basically are people that I know.
As you
Uh-huh.
know.
You
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
So
So, all right then. So we're going to move into our discussion for today. And for those who saw Biden's speech last night, that's what we'll be discussing today. Um, so I just ran to one of the articles to check out what they thought about it, and they took out some key points, and that's basically what I was looking for. And I guess today made his 100 days in office, and they mentioned that he said jobs 43 times throughout his speech. So, and I thought that was a great idea to almost everything he planned to do, he had a foresight for creating jobs, and and a couple of other things I thought were really great, where he talked about 2-year college for free, because I remember when I was in junior college and I was thinking, how much debt am I going to accrue, because I went back to school later. So when you're an adult person and you have a family and you have, a
hmm
life. So I thought that was a great idea, that at least those 2 years, you shouldn't have to worry about paying tuition, and I think too, to add on to that, um, when you don't have a lot of money and you want to go back to school, it's almost like you're penalized, because when you graduate, you're graduating with debt. And that was the whole idea to begin with. We're going to school so we can have a better life when we're done with school, and we start out already in debt. And I think that's ridiculous for people um, who are living at a certain income level. Is just ridiculous, because that debt it'll be around for an extremely long time, you
Right.
know.
Because you already broke by the time you get that job or what have you. Yeah.
Ex-
Because
exactly.
you're in debt. But when you look at the whole history of how, the school system and everything was put together, and the workforce and all of that, it just shows you it was all about these rich one percenters who knew that, they put it all in place. And
Hmm.
I think we're being a lot smarter about it, because that's debt that my daughter is 39 and she still has college
Student
debt,
loans.
you know,
Wow. And that's the thing
and
too. Hmm.
and you
And
can't
that's
even catch up. You wind up paying the interest for about 10 years before you even get into the
the
principal.
principle. Yeah.
And I think schools should be free. And didn't they come up with that anyway with the Dream Act, and here in Illinois that
Hmm.
what was it, the Dream Act, the foreign kids, the immigrants, or whatever they want, however they label them, they
Hmm.
they could go to junior college or the city colleges for free.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess that
Okay.
that was a little bit problematic for everybody else, and said, okay, why can't that just be
Hmm.
extended to all kids in
Okay.
public school who because I think the criteria was you had to come out with a B average, and then you could go to the city colleges, for
Wow.
free. And I don't see why not, because our tax dollars are paying for it anyway. So,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
I
So.
think it is a great thing, and they need to
Mhm.
put a cap on these colleges and these universities that where you're paying. When my daughter went to University of Chicago, it was $53,000 a year.
Whoa.
It's 100 now.
Yeah,
Wow.
$53,000 a year. But they get a lot of endowment, and um they give a lot of scholarships. So she did get a full ride. We pretty much had to thank God for that. We pretty much had to just take care of her room and board,
Okay.
uh, which I think averaged out to about 5 grand a year. Which is, and by her, having both parents, we were able to do that. And at times it became a little of a struggle, because what they
Right.
do is the first couple of years, like you know yourself, they want the
Hmm.
parents to pay for it. You
Okay.
know, they'll
Okay.
start out with the
Oh,
parents now, and it's almost like the Pell Grants are non-existent anymore. And it's like,
Hmm.
I mean, I finally got rid of loans when my first daughter went to school, because they always made the parent pay, you
right.
know,
Wow.
Yeah.
from the beginning, and then she kicked in at her last 2 years. So you accumulate that debt as well as they do.
Well,
You know what
our
I'm saying? In some
system,
instances,
being in a capitalistic system,
yeah,
everything is based on money,
yeah,
the
Yeah.
the resource of money. And
Hmm.
you hear the statement, the haves and the have-nots, and a lot of people kind of dismiss that as just some sort of cliche-ish
Hmm.
statement. But that statement really says, it's a true statement about many situations that people are in,
Right.
because they don't have the necessary resources to do some of the things that they would like to do, or that they may be capable of doing, but it takes the resources maybe to develop uh, that idea, or to develop um, the things that they need in order to move forward. To start a small business, you got to have some sort of uh, resource in
Right.
order to maybe buy supplies, or something of that nature. And it's just unfortunate that the system is built so that unless you've got something to start with, it is very difficult. And
Right.
this is why African Americans have such a hard time getting started with
Hmm.
businesses and so forth, because number one, the banks don't want to loan you any money.
no,
Um,
Right.
and you know, many whites can go and they can get business loans, they can get small business loans and so forth, with,
and immigrants.
or the immigrants that come here.
Yeah,
And see, the thing that I have about that, we have a lot of uh, foreign students that come here, get an education, then they go back to
And they
their
go home. They go home.
yeah.
Yeah.
and take
Yeah.
all that knowledge with them
Right.
and use
Right.
it to help build up their country. And I mean,
Yes.
I'm not mad at them for
And
doing
do
it.
you know a lot of them go to school for free?
And
Because they'll come in and that's what the problem was with the ACT and the SAT tests. They would come in here, especially Japanese, and they would master these tests,
right,
and then they would go, and then they can come to some of the most elite college and universities. Then they, like you said, they leave. There was a time in California, and they got busted where the
Hmm.
Japanese women would come over here, and they would uh, they some of them were well to do, but they would come here, especially in California, and they would have their children here so their children can be Americans. Then they would send them through these programs, or just have them to go to these schools and ace these tests, and
mhm,
now they're in these elite schools and they don't have to pay a dime because they got all the scholarships. you
Wow.
know But
Yeah.
one of the things that I didn't like was the fact that he says to, I mean, I agree with it that junior colleges, but the thing is, start where you have these students now. Obama entertained the ideal of forgiving these student loans. There
Yeah.
should not be any type of loan program that lasts more than 10 years. And if you
Right.
look,
I agree.
I came across something called the commerce of currency. And by law,
Hmm.
no loan in the U.S. should be more than 5 years. Look that up.
Okay. You said
No loan in the
commerce
U.S.
of
should
currency.
be commerce of currency. I can't
Okay.
remember exactly how it goes, but
Hmm.
no loan should be more than 5 years. And you can also challenge the banks when it comes to that commerce of currency. I think is when they put a lien against your home. And
Okay.
if they can't produce the actual lien holder or your original contract, I think that home becomes yours.
Wow.
And it's some kind of way. I had a good friend whose husband used to
Mm.
exercise those laws against the mortgage company, and he won out. He won out. Yeah, but you have to really, really know what you're doing
You
because
have to
they will
know.
come
Yeah.
after you. But
Yeah.
it's called a commerce of currency. You have to read what it is. But I'm
Okay.
almost certain that there was something that was written in law, something like that, in regards to finances, that no loan should be more than, I don't know if it's in the Constitution or what, but I'll look it up. No more than 5 years. No more than 5 years.
Mm. Well, well, I did a little bit of research on how did college how did the cost go from like nothing to as high as it is? And initially, it was put in place after World War II for the servicemen in
Mhm.
1944 to help them readjust the GI Bill. That's what they
Yeah,
called it. And
yeah,
I
they did.
hadn't heard of it. I hadn't heard about that in years. But they said what happened was so many of them enrolled that they didn't expect that to happen. So they said 10 times the numbers, uh, uh, at least 8 billion, 8 million, I should say, veterans enrolled. And then it came to the point where the government was saying, well, who's going to pay for this? It was like, okay, so then we moved to the National Defense Student Loan, which later turned to the Perkins Loan.
Hmm.
And that did for the civilians what this GI Bill did for the veterans. And then later on, 1965, with the Civil Rights Movement and the Higher Education Act of 1965, that gave greater access to college for women and minorities. And then the cost was definitely going to go up. So from
Oh yeah.
65 to 72, colleges and universities, they said they had to dig deep into their pockets to provide grants and other forms of student aid in partnership with the federal programs. But in 1970, when the economy took a dive, college tuitions and fees climbed, and they said that's when private loans and heavily subsidized by the federal government came into place. But those things replaced the federal grants that were the main source of money for poor and class
Oh
college
yeah.
students.
You
So they
barely even
saw,
put out the Pell Grant. Yeah.
right, they saw the opportunity to make a killing on who else? The poor people.
Hmm.
Right.
And
And
And it's
see,
been
that
like
just shows
that.
you how unlearned people were. If people were flocking to education, that just shows you not only were we unlearned, they were unlearned too. You
Yeah.
know.
And so initially, it looked like they were trying to say the government wasn't providing as much money, which they weren't. So they took advantage of it. They took
Oh yeah.
advantage of the poor and the middle class, and it's never stopped. It's just been going on and on and on.
And it's shameful because professors don't even make that much money unless
No,
they become tenure.
right?
And I think that's a
And they make it
disgrace.
difficult for them to become tenured.
I know.
Yep, and they have to
I think
continuously
that is a
publish.
disgrace.
Yeah, it
You go
is.
from
And
38 when you make tenure. I think the average salary is what, 35,000, 40,000, something like that. It's not a
it's not
whole
that
lot.
much. Mm-mm.
And then they go to six figures when they make tenure.
well, that's one of the issues that Cornell West had
Hmm.
with I think it was Harvard. Uh, they refused to give him tenure,
Yeah.
and he just left. He just decided he had been an
Hmm.
associate professor or whatever that title is, and
Hmm.
he kept applying for tenure, and he had been there a number of years.
Right.
And he decided that since they weren't going to give him tenure, he just left this year, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw it too. And can
And
you
that's a
imagine?
shame. He's been a professor for I can't even tell you how long. Well, you
Right.
know why they probably did it, because the people that give these endowments to these schools, they probably rich
Yeah.
racist pricks, and
Right.
they
Right.
can demand that stuff. They can
Right.
demand it from the school because they're
Yeah.
giving all this money.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
and they can put stipulations on their money because
Oh
it's
yeah,
Yes.
and they can
yeah,
put stipulations on it, and you wouldn't necessarily know what it is. It's just that the school can't use that money to do certain things because it's been donated to them, and they
yeah.
Right.
want to maintain that. So they got to dance to the piper. It's the same way with our politicians who accept
That's
campaign
Yeah.
right.
contributions. They got to dance to the people that are giving them the money, which is why a lot of our systems are so messed up now because our elected officials don't run the system. The
No.
people that give them
Right.
the money run the system.
That's right, Clarence.
And
Hmm.
y'all and people better start understanding, like when my daughter was going to school and stuff, and I would tell people, allow your children to still apply to these big schools, because there are black people out there that give huge endowments. University has a black couple that gives
Yeah.
huge endowments, and my daughter was able to. Uh, she was able to be able, she was able to get that grant. You know what I'm saying? Stop thinking your children have to have these astronomical scores. And matter of fact, just in the recent years, University of Chicago has made it their priority to have minority students come to school and be paid, and they elected not to look at their SAT and ACT scores,
Hmm. Yeah, that's a
and
new
it was
program.
based. It is, and it was based on
Yeah.
the family's income. And no, parents, that you don't always have to use both incomes. You can use the one income, whichever parent it is. But stop thinking your children have to have like straight A's and B's and stuff like that. My daughter struggled, but she came from a Catholic school, De La Salle, which we paid more than what
I'll
we
pay
paid
big dollars.
at the University of Chicago. It was 10 grand. It was 10 grand a year.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying, her first year wasn't because she got a full scholarship. But stop thinking that your children are not qualified to be in these schools. And I say, let them. Me personally, I wanted her to go to the school that was paying for everything, and then have her to get her doctorate or master's degree at an all black school, because I feel she needs
Oh, that
that
balance.
experience,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a big push
to
now
have that experience.
on getting resources to the HBCUs
Oh
because
yeah.
a lot of them are starting to struggle, and a lot of your top
Mm-hmm.
athletes now are choosing to and are being encouraged to go to HBCUs
Yeah.
because they can make those schools the same money that they're making going to these Ohio States and Michigan States. And these people are
Mm-hmm.
filling up these arenas just to see these guys or girls do the sport that they're good at doing. Why not go to a HBCU and take that talent with you? Because people will still pay to see an athlete perform. And there's
Exactly.
that these, they look at for lack of a better term,
Mm.
these white institutions. You look at all the athletes, the majority of the athletes are black. And
Yeah.
they're bringing this school in tremendous amount of money. They're paying the
Oh
coaches
my gosh.
2 and
Yes.
$3 million
Oh yeah.
a year to
But
coach.
Mm-hmm.
they're they're pretty much begging minority students to come for full rides, and people think it's oh no, that's not true, and this and that. Yeah, it is true. Stop thinking that your child just has to go to Southern University or Carbondale. No, they're try for those schools. My daughter tried for 17 schools, and the only reason why I really wanted her to go to a HBCU, but they were late in responding to her, and we could not wait any longer. So that's why she chose the University of Chicago. But out of them 17, she got accepted at 14
Wow.
of them schools. So
Very
stop
nice.
thinking your children cannot go. And my oldest daughter, the same thing. She wanted to go to Southern schools. But stop thinking that they can't get into these schools. You have to try, and don't let nobody tell you that they can't. And their grades don't have to be, they ain't got to graduate with honors, they ain't got to be at the top of their class. Stop thinking that. Things are
Okay.
changing now, you know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and we have to be encouraging to the students and not say, well, you, because in a way, when you kind of push them away from it, you're giving them that ideal that they're not good enough to go to these schools. Oh, yes, they are. I
Mhm.
know black kids that have gotten full rides to
Hmm.
Stanford. I
Yeah.
know
Hmm.
black kids that have gotten full rides to Harvard,
Yeah,
you know.
Yale and all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Hmm.
Because see, these schools have a certain they have a certain criteria. They have a certain percentage of minority students that they have to have in these institutions,
Absolutely. If they want
which
that federal money.
which is demanded by the federal dollars that are
Hmm.
coming in. You have to
Hmm.
have a certain number of minority students. So that's where our students and our kids can get into these institutions.
Yeah,
And they just have to not be afraid of the name of the school.
Right. Don't
exactly.
be intimidated by it. That's
But
right.
I don't think it's the kid. I think it's the parents more
Parents.
so.
Okay.
Might be
I
the
think
Okay.
it's the
parent too.
parents more so. That was my experience with some of the feedback I was getting. Because
Okay.
even and I even somebody even asked me, "Oh, she's getting," and they were non-black. Oh, is this a sports? I was like, "No, dear, academics."
They
You know,
always
Oh
so
yeah,
so
yeah.
stupid.
Yeah,
No,
no.
they
not
automatically
But
sports.
I was even getting that
pigeonhole you if
from
you
some
go
of
into
our
one of the
own. How
schools.
did she get in there? You know, and where we work, Clarence, as you know, being that part of the police department, also to you're privy to, not privy, but with like with the city, IIT gives a grant for us down there, along with the police department.
Mhm.
University of Chicago does. I think Roosevelt, DePaul, they give grants for first responders. So if you have a first responder in the family, or you're a first responder, just know you have to inquire that
Right.
most of these big colleges, even here in Chicago, they give grants for being a first responder. And
Yeah,
matter of
so they
fact, you can
get them the
ask
first
in schools
response.
out of state too that
Yeah,
they give grants for first responders. And when you go out of state, you pay less money.
but see, they
Yeah,
will take a lot of that information and they won't make it readily known.
yeah.
You have to kind of search around, or if you
Right.
happen to have someone who will share that information with you
Hmm.
because they happen to be a friend of yours or something. Because during my time on the police department, uh, I found out a lot of things simply
Oh, yeah.
because I had made uh, good relationships with some of the right people that
Hmm.
shared information with me. Other than that,
Right.
I
Hmm.
would not have known. I went to Northwestern not because I applied, but because the person that was in a position to tell me, you need to go to Northwestern and put in your application and I'll move it forward. But
See?
that's how things happen.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm
And
just
let me tell you this. And we found out later, you go to college not to say you get into that degree, but chances are 90% of the time you're not working in the degree that you have.
no.
Right.
But my daughter told me when when she made friends, she said, "Ma, I learned that when white kids, especially astute white kids that come from certain backgrounds, she said they go to make connections.
Hmm.
You go to
Mm.
school to make them connections.
Right. The good,
Now that be on the top of their list
they network.
because she
Wow.
she
Yeah, their
hung out
network
with
is
exactly.
from
She
from
hung out
college.
with a young man who she did not know that his grandparents were the Marriotts,
Hmm.
but you would never know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, from the way he dressed and everything.
Hmm.
But she didn't find that out until after she graduated. But you go there to make connections, and this is what a lot of times move you forward. Because now she has college classmates that are lawyers now. They're some of them are heads of, not heads of companies, but they're running like departments in big companies and things like that because of all the
Right.
connections that they
Okay.
made. And these were African American students.
Well,
Hmm.
when I was driving Uber, and uh, I went over to the University of Chicago, and they were having graduation from law school,
Hmm.
and I took some of those students to the airport. Their parents had came in, and they were going back home because they were from someplace else. And talking with some of those parents and those students, the University of Chicago, when you graduate from the law school, they put you in a law firm. They guarantee that you
Yep.
will
Awesome. Woo.
Yeah, because one of her
get a
classmates went
job
to
at a
New
law
York.
firm. They
He wound up
guarantee
going to a
that
law firm in New York. Yeah.
to all of their students that graduate from law school. They're guaranteed a job. I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
The guaranteed placement at a law
The
firm. That's
Yep.
guaranteed
awesome.
placement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah,
Yeah.
all they got to do is graduate. I'm like,
Good.
really?
And that
I
looks
think
good.
that's great.
And parents need to know when these kids get in these schools, that looks good on your resume.
Oh,
That looks good
absolutely.
on your resume.
Hmm.
But I think the whole ideal of school, as far as college is concerned, I know it was structured to work for someone else, but I think when you start changing the mindsets, and like when the millennials start coming around, they start looking at the fact, I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to start my own business. And this is the mindset that we need to cultivate as our children are getting older.
Hmm.
You want to go to school, and you see, because when we were going to school, we
It
would
was to get
push
a
to go to
job,
school to
right?
get a good job and this and that to work for somebody else. Yeah, that was all done by design. But no, you
Right.
should be pushing your children to go to school to learn how they can run their own business, or learn how they can
Exactly.
step into somebody else's shoes to run their business. That should be the end goal. And not that, well, I went and got my ID, my thing, and now I'm not even getting a job in there. You got to change that mindset. No, not changing. You got to cultivate that mindset when they're younger. And you got
Hmm.
to look at what is special about your child and let them expound on that, and so that they can cultivate that and make that grow. Because we're all born with something natural that's unique
Hmm.
to us, and that we do, that where we can change change. I look at it like this: change the world, or just change the dynamics of a family structure. When you got somebody that's special,
Hmm.
and you
Yeah.
you need, and if you want to teach, and I learned a long time ago, I heard something on Moody Bible Institute, and they had this expert on there about teaching, and they said when you see your children failing at this and that, or you have something that's holding them back and they not doing well, sit and study to see what it is that's unique about your child. And when you enhance that one thing that's unique about your child, or those two or three things that are unique, and let them expound on it, it carries over into everything else, where then they start to excel.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
you look at that one thing and it might get on your nerve. It might be that your child sings. Let them flow. Let
Right.
them. put them in something that has to do, and then whatever, then all the schooling, that everything else, because they know in order to be successful in the thing that they love, they have to do all the other stuff, math, English, all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm,
it
hmm.
it allows them to just grow.
Right. And I
So
think
as
I think something that you're saying is it helps them to be confident and
exactly
and it'll carry over into everything they
every
do because you
everything
have to
else that
have,
they do.
yeah, you have to have those experiences of success. You can't be failing at things and expecting for your self-esteem to continue to grow and for your confidence to grow. And so you have to experience success so that you
Yep.
can have the confidence to do other things. Yeah, that's great. I like
And not
that.
truly push them, because my daughter talked about how some students they were going to a panic because their parents were like, you can't fail. And it puts
Mm,
a tremendous stress on some of them. Some of them committed suicide, but she said it put just on her own personal friends where it just put tremendous stress on them because they
mhm.
didn't get all A's, and University of Chicago is a tough school. And I was like, really? When she was explaining to me, so with some of her friends, I was like, okay, because we did a lot of things together. Have them come
Okay.
along so that they can distress and take some of that. And I would spend time, with my daughter and them, and we would go into the High Parks festivals and this and that. And some of these kids had never experienced that. They were foreign kids, and some of them
Wow.
had never experienced it. Right.
So everything
And
in
they
their
had a
world
great
was work, 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 and
work,
no
work, work,
time
work,
to
work,
de-stress and
because they
to,
saw their parents do it, and
wow.
the parents put this stress on them to excel so that they can come back home and help their parents get out of whatever it was that they were in. Some of them even had the mindset that they were okay with making 19 when they graduated, making $29,000 a year. They thought that was okay, because they was anti-capitalism and this and that. And
Mm,
some of them even thought my daughter was rich because she had everything that she needed. And she was like, I'm far from rich. So, you know what I'm saying?
I
So I
get
kind
it.
of got to
Yeah.
know some of them
Mhm.
and to just let them know, no, but you don't have to still be a victim of your circumstances. And I had to make a few of them realize, do you know what type of school you're at? This would help you excel. And when you start doing that resume, don't 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 defeat yourself before you get started.
Right, right,
You're defeating
right.
yourself before you get started. And she even would jump in with them like, no, you don't want to make no $29,000 a year. You want to make six figures. And she had to really, really put that in their mindset. And even now they finally do get it,
Hmm,
Mhm.
hmm.
that hey, but it took some prodding. And I was like, oh my God, how is
Yeah.
it? How are these kids coming up? Well, one of them, his family were educators, but they lived and they went over to like Africa and they educated over there. So he was over there for a long time as a boy, and
Mhm.
then when he came back here, but that's the lifestyle that they lived when
Right.
they were over there. They
Yeah.
were really poor.
Hmm.
So when
Mhm.
they came back here, and they lived in Camden, New Jersey, and he didn't realize the potential, but you got a forced ride to this big school in the city of
Right,
Chicago.
right. And
So
don't
he
let
really
people,
struggled.
right.
He
And
really
don't let
struggled to
people
help
take
him.
advantage of
Yeah, yeah,
your,
she
yeah,
did. She
get
really
paid,
helped him
right. Get
struggle
paid what
through
you
his.
worth. Right.
Yeah, and she had to really push to get that mindset into him. He's
Right.
straight now because they still really good friends, but he's
Right.
he's good now. But it was just amazing to me that I grew up poor, but that mindset never changes.
Mm.
So
Well, I'm
All right.
fortunate that three of my four kids, they all are entrepreneurial minded.
Mm-hmm.
They, my two daughters have started their own business. My
Mhm.
son, he's got a job. He got a hell of a job, really, over at Rush. He works at Rush. He's one of the project managers for their IT department. But he also has started a gym shoe cleaning business. And do you realize the amount of money
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh yeah,
business?
yeah. That was one of the business my daughter was gonna do. Yeah, cause
I
she
was
she
shocked
loves gym shoes.
when he told me what
Yeah.
people will pay to have
Oh yeah.
those shoes. I mean, you're paying $300, $400, $500 for a pair of gym shoes, but people are serious about those shoes and they like to keep them clean. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't know how to clean them. But he learned how to do that. So he started his own business on the side of cleaning gym shoes. And they bring 4 or 5 pairs of gym shoes for him to clean. And my youngest daughter, while she was still in college, she went to college for fashion design. And she always had in her mind that she wanted to start her own boutique. Well, she started an online boutique while she was still in college, and she designed her own website. And then when she got out, she she started a brick and mortar. Then she got married.
Mm-hmm.
Her and her husband, they finally bought their house. And now she's got her office in the basement of her home. And she just started my granddaughter, who is 6 years old. She started her in her own business. She draws, and this girl she's 6 years old, but she can draw, and she draws little bowls, and
Mm-hmm.
her mom showed her how to make them, and now she's got her own setup. In fact, if you go to my page, I posted in my story.
Okay.
I posted her website, and the things that you see on there are the things that this 6 year old girl designed
Yeah.
Wow.
herself. 6 years old. And I'm like,
Now,
hey, but
now just imagine how great she gonna be when she gets older.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm saying. We as, a generation of parents that we're talking about, like Marcy, your children and their children, we have to teach them, be entrepreneurs, own your
Yeah.
own
Right.
business. That's the way to go. And
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how you create wealth.
that's how
Because
you
working for
create
somebody else,
generational.
it ain't happening. You
Absolutely.
you
Well, you know what? I always tried to have like multiple streams of income, even when I was in my 20s, and I was different from like especially when I started doing hair and I started seeing different types of businesses that you can cultivate and things like that. And I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? I want to, and I would always just try to go for it. I would always try to go for it,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I was the only one in my family out of 5 kids, but I would always try to go for it because I particularly just did not like working for anybody else. I always wanted to
Mhm.
just do my own thing, and I kind of got ostracized for it because people didn't look at it that way. But I've been working since I was 14.
Mhm.
So I had jobs, but I always like to do other things on the
Yeah, you
side
saw
because
you
I
saw
did
the
not.
benefit of being
Yeah,
self-employed. And it
exactly.
gives you a whole different, it changes your whole view on things, and your self-esteem goes through the roof. So because
Yeah.
you know that you can make your own way, you can make your own money. You have to
Hmm.
depend on other people for what you need and what you want. So I think if you can cultivate that in your kids, you have done a great job.
Yeah, and I liked real estate when I was in my 20s. I mean, just because my first home was I was 25.
Mhm.
So And I just because my parents didn't believe that home ownership was possible, and I was the only one that believed it was. So I said, okay, I'm gonna make it happen.
Right.
It was never for me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen because we need a house. I don't like to live in no two flat with other people and this and that. And I wanted to get out of our circumstances in Inglewood where we were. And I was like, okay, I need to make this happen. And I did.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
You know,
Yeah.
I
I
remember.
didn't think it was a big thing at the time, but when I look back on it and looking at the fact that they did not understand home ownership or they did not know anything about it and they didn't think that we
Mhm.
could do it. But if you got a whole family of people that's working, yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can
could
do
do it. Yeah. And Clarence, what were you gonna say, Clarence?
I was getting ready to say it. It's ironic that my mother's first home that she owned, she was in her early 60s before she
Wow.
owned her first home. She
Hmm.
always was renting apartments when she was single. Then when she got married again for the last time she got married. And the first thing her husband did was bought her a house, but she was in
Wow.
her early 60s. First house she ever owned. And and that just reminded me of something that you said. You owned your first home at 25. At 25, I assure you, my mama was not thinking about owning a home.
Hmm.
She was renting apartments. When I
Hmm.
bought my first house, I was 30.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was about 30 when I bought my first house. Uh,
Yeah.
but home ownership is a means of creating generational wealth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you own something,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
own
And you
for
make
profit.
that. And you make that. Once you do something like that, you have created a better path for your kids.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
like you all were able to purchase a house way sooner than your parents were.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and in some cases, some families are still experiencing that first person to go to college, that first one to
Mhm.
Yeah.
buy property and things like that. So yeah,
Right.
we're still.
And out of my brothers and sisters, I was the first one to go to college.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
now 3 of my 4 kids have went to college.
Yeah. So you see, it creates a better way of life for them.
Yeah,
Like
Hmm.
immediately, just by doing that, it creates a better way of life. Because
absolutely.
I remember my grandmother went to college, my mom and I went, and one of my aunts too, who she was actually, I think she was in the Korean War. I think she was in that war. Well, not in the war, but she was a lab tech, and
Okay.
she once she started her career as a lab tech, she continued when she finished, and she worked with the Veterans Administration until she passed. She worked for years, so that was a huge thing for her. She was the only one that I remember close in the family who was in the military. Only woman that we had. So yeah, she did that,
Yeah.
and I watched her go to school, and she had her first child when she was like 35. But I watched her go and do something totally different, totally like a pioneer, and her family was completely supportive of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that created a way better life for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always
Yeah.
wind up being the first. Then you had a family member be like, "Are y'all rich or something?" Like, no, we're not rich. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
You
But
just
yeah, we
made
we
different
were we
decisions.
were the we
There
were
you
the
go,
first
Clarence.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You just
And
make
it, and if
different
you
decisions.
right, and if you're in a position to make better choices, take those chances, make those better choices. Because I think that's what happens. A lot of times we don't always have the choice to, take one road over another. We kind of, a lot of times our family members from before, they were kind of stuck in a particular position where they had to do what they were doing, or they had to rent. And well, we've been talking about it for forever on this show about all the obstacles in the way of us making progress.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And you have to go under it or over it and just push,
Right.
But you just have to do what you have to do, we wound up talking about this versus what
And
Biden was talking
we didn't
about.
even, well, you know what? We just opened it up on education, and we didn't even get to the other points. I was thinking about that too. But but it was, I'm glad that you mentioned, MJ, all of the things that you talked about, especially the commerce of currency and about all of the opportunities at the Ivy League schools that a lot of people in our communities won't attempt to even
Yeah.
try because
You just need to
because
do your
Yeah.
the
research.
expense of it
Yeah.
is just unbelievable. So
But
yeah, you have to do your research.
yeah, you got to have faith that you're not going to pay those expenses. And I knew I couldn't afford it, but hey, ain't nothing wrong with researching and asking. You don't
Right,
ask, you don't
right,
get. I've learned that
right.
years ago. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
another thing. My I was privy to when I was doing hair. My oldest daughter, she was going to college, and we were looking for funding and everything. And she knew where she wanted to go. I had a hair client who an endowment library that was downtown off of Jackson. I can't remember exactly, but this library it was a small library in a building. It had books and books and books of information on grants, free money,
Okay.
people who were given money. I mean, just a lot of them. And I'm going to tell you how it was out there. Another young lady who mother used to do my hair, and as I was doing hair, I did her hair. She was told by a Caucasian girl at I think where was she? I think she was at Roosevelt University, or no, it was one of the city colleges. And this girl told her about grants and scholarships that the
Hmm.
city colleges had, but because blacks didn't use it, they started using them, and it was privy to them. So when Jackie went to talk to one of the counselors, she
Hmm.
found out that the man told her, okay, you know what? We have a dance scholarship that can pay for all your tuition. Like that, he said, I'm going to help you get
Hmm.
this scholarship. So they be having, this was one of the counselors at the school. So they be having scholarships. And you have to ask because they are not going to tell you.
That's true. And it's almost, there's money out there for almost anything you want to study. People are providing the resources for you. So,
Yeah,
and you're right, you have to know where to look. You
yeah,
do.
but there was a library my daughter went to look for scholarships and grants, and they just had books and books and books of them.
Wow.
And most of them only required maybe a 500 word you
Essay.
know
Hmm.
essay about yourself or whatever it was. I remember she got a art scholarship as well, and all she had to do was send them a few of her own personal drawings. But she didn't
Wow.
take that one because she didn't want to go. I think it was in Georgia. She didn't want to take that. She didn't want to do art. And
Hmm.
she's Jasmine is excellent at art. I mean, excellent. She can see
Wow.
something and just draw it.
Well,
Okay.
You
she's doing what she like.
Right. Yeah, and that will never feel like work as long as you're doing something you love. It will never feel like work. Yeah. Well, okay, everybody. We come to the end of the show for today. And Clarence and Marcy, I cannot thank you enough. I definitely couldn't pay you for what you brought to the show. I appreciate it.
We
I
wasn't
appreciate
looking
it.
for pay.
No,
Well,
I
I
mentioned
wasn't.
it. I mentioned it to MJ that if something happened where I was offered some money for whatever we did, I would definitely pay you because hey,
no,
that's what you got
no.
to do.
No, we don't even pay.
Don't worry about it. If it's not
Okay,
$1
Nope.
million, don't worry about it.
I enjoyed this immensely.
Yeah,
Well, thank
I
And
you.
I'm
did.
gonna miss
Well, well, I'm gonna tell you, I really appreciate it, and it's hard to find people who will show up for you, and that's what you two have done for months. You have shown up, and that says a whole lot about you. Really, it does, because you could be doing something else right now, and you
it.
did it faithfully. So I appreciate that. I will always keep that close to my heart. And plus, like I said, don't go too far because I will be, asking you to join a conversation if I happen to get somebody on Instagram Live. Everybody who wasn't here at the beginning, I'm moving over to Instagram Live at least, hopefully 3 times a week, and I will post the times that I'll be over there. But it's the same Shy Panther and Friends show, and it won't be an hour long, but hopefully you'll like it. It'll be entertaining, and we'll see what happens. That's all you can do is jump out there and
Okay.
Yes.
do
Yeah, we proud of you.
Oh,
I've
thank you.
enjoyed this.
Yes,
We
I am.
proud.
Yeah, I don't care what Marcy say. I'm proud of it.
He always trying to start something, man. I
You
tell
better
you.
just send me those pictures, man.
Yes, ma'am. I'll
Okay,
take care.
there. Well, and just to let you know too, I finally got some things together with the t-shirts and a vendor, so I will be sending you guys t-shirts and letting people know where they can also purchase
Oh
more.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're just looking to do awesome things, and that's all. That's it for
Let
Shy
me know
Panther
when you
and
start
Friends.
doing commercials. If
Oh,
you
I
do
will.
ads on your site and stuff like that, so I can do some paid ads.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm working on that right now, and I will be letting you know, and just hopefully in about a week, because I have other people too. And I want to announce that I will be creating those shared ads where people can come together and pay for ads together. And
yeah, that would be
you
great.
know, of course, you have your individual work, but you share the expense of it. So yeah,
That
so
would be
everybody can
great.
get a piece of the pie. All right.
Yeah, and
Hey.
Terrence, I really want that information for your son. Just text it to me. He does gym shoes, you know, because I have a prima donna that when her white gym shoes get dirty, she likes to throw them away.
I'm scared of her.
Whoa, throw them
Yeah,
away. Woo,
she likes to throw them
Oh,
away. So,
okay. Well,
okay.
we have some people watching. We got Diane, Samela, Gregory,
hi,
and we
Gregory,
got
Samela,
Aisha. Aisha's on here, y'all.
Aisha. Oh wow,
Yes, she
hey Aisha.
is.
Aisha, as in Suggs,
That's
Yes.
right. The one and only.
tell her to go sit down somewhere.
She is sitting down watching. Hey everyone.
Hi,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, they're saying, hey, Marcy. Hey, everybody. All right.
Okay, I'm
All
gone.
right, then. Oh, look at
That's
him. He
nice.
can't wait to get,
Hey,
get to his
hey, behave.
get to his food.
I'm gonna miss you, Clarence. Don't forget, keep in touch now. I need that information from you, really, for those gym shoes, and then we can do something in regards to the beard and stuff like that.
All right, I know I got to take a picture with the bottom, several. I know.
And give me your best chin look.
I got my instructions.
Don't forget.
Okay,
All right. Good night.
good night.
Good night. Love you, Gail. Love you.
Love you